Hey folks, welcome back to the shop. Frank here. We've been working on a bush hog, building a bush hog for a Cub Cadet 128, a model 128 from 1972. So a 50-year-old Cub Cadet with a rear PTO, gear drive. We put a hydraulic lift on the tractor and then built a bush hog, a 48-inch bush hog to fit the tractor. Last episode, we took care of the last couple things as far as getting the power takeoff hooked up, and we took the tractor out, ran it around the yard. I mean, even though there's no grass this time of year, it's mid-January, the bush hog ran fine. There were two minor issues that we're going to work on here. One is a better tail wheel. The tail wheel we had, I think, was too small, or at least did not cast or did not spin around like a swivel like it was supposed to. So it tended to gouge the terrain a little bit. And then the front of the tractor is pretty light. Obviously, when you have a 850-pound tractor and you're picking up a 300-pound bush hog on the back, you're going to take some weight off the front wheels, which is exactly what happened. So, I mean, it was drivable, but just barely. So we're going to build a bracket and mount some weights on the front of the tractor. The first we're going to do right now is fix the tail wheel. I went on McMaster car yesterday at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and at 10 o'clock this morning the stuff showed up. So I'll tell you, they are McMaster car. I mean, it's some of the stuff's a little expensive, but it's mostly good stuff. They don't carry, well, if they carry junk, they tell you it's junk, I guess. So you know what you're getting. The stuff is good. The stuff is a little bit on the expensive side, but I'll tell you, the service is incredible. The stuff shows up. The website's so easy to use. And this is not a plug for McMaster. Well, maybe it is a plug for McMaster car. The website's easy to use. You put a credit card in there. You don't have to go through all entering name, address, delivery stuff every time you order. You just go pick the item, put it in your basket, and hit buy. I mean, Amazon does stuff like that, but McMaster Car's got it down. So, even faster delivery than Amazon. Amazon takes 2 days, 2 or 3 days to my house. I'm in a rural town, but McMaster's, I mean, it's here. So, okay. Got the bearings to put on the tail wheel, caster, and we're going to do that, put it back on the tractor, see how it works. All right, so these are thrust bearings. So it's a little cage with little cylindrical roller bearings in it. This is probably not a permanent solution for this situation. You would want, for any kind of long-term solution, you want a sealed bearing. This is not going to be a sealed bearing situation. Now, how much I use this, will determine the extent to which you need to, go to a more durable bearing arrangement. This is kind of an interim. I'm going to do this just to see if the geometry on my wheel and everything is adequate. These are hardened washers, and they are used as a bearing surface, where what I'm going to do is put a bearing on each side of this wheel support arm, and these hardened washers act as a bearing surface, so you put one on each side of that bearing, and so it acts as a race, basically. All right. Let me get a little. Problem with working on a fixture table is you got holes in it. So this is some waterproof grease. I'm not going to say it's yeah, I don't, this is, since these bearings are not going to be sealed from the weather, even though they are kind of protected, they're not going to stand up in the long run. Now, being as these are thrust washers, they will take quite a bit of load, so you can tighten the bolts pretty well and still have easy movement. All right, so then we just bolt this to the bottom of the tail wheel bracket, and we snug it up pretty tight, because those bearings will permit movement, easy movement. Or at least that's the idea. All right, well, that definitely gives you the swivel that we need. Now this wheel is, I just put this wheel on. This wheel is a couple inches larger in diameter than the old one. This is the old one. So I had this one. I had to go buy this one. It's a solid rubber tire, so it's not going to go flat. All the ones I had that were bigger than that were much wider. So, and that doesn't, there's no play in that joint. So we'll see how that holds up. I don't know. All right, we've got a template for our weight bracket. We'll see how it fits. All right, so this is a prototype. Going to see generally how it fits. All right, so we'll drill. That rests on there nicely. Okay, so this is the plan: is drill a hole here, put a bolt through here, and then do another one on the other side. We'll be able to hang weights. We'll weld a end on it, and we'll be able to hang weights. Very similar to what we did for the forklift. I think I'm only going to put about 200 or 300 pounds on here, I think. I think that'll be enough. So I think I'm just going to make this out a 1/4 inch. All right, so let me go cut 2 more, cut them out a 1/4 inch. And that way we'll have them, we'll mark this spot, we'll come back here with the mag drill and drill the holes through there. There's room on the inside for a bolt, a nut. So we just use a 1/2 inch bolt there. I think that'll work. Well, here's a time where I cut out a template or prototype out of, I don't know, 16 gauge, whatever, it's thin, 1/16 of an inch, something, 50 thou, 50 mils. So, and it fit. Usually I wind up having to make changes, but that's how it goes. cleaning out the thread there. Back side of this bracket as a spacer, because we have a piece of sheet metal here. Alright, so I just need to drill the holes here and on the other side. Alright, so you can see where I'm going with this. This is one of the weight plates off the forklift. So I'll make similar plates that will hang on there. A little different size, but pretty close. Well, I have to say that did a pretty nice job. I will go clean this up. This will get welded to the front of the weight bracket, and it's basically the same. It's the same lettering we used on the bumper over the hydraulic pump. So I just made a different size, round the corners, and we'll weld it onto the front. So, and that way, I mean, the weights are going to cover up the previous lettering on the bumper, front bumper in front of the hydraulic pump. But if you ever take the weight bracket off, which is just 4 bolts, then this would come off with it and you'd see the original one. So, all right, that turned out good. It's 1/4 inch. It cut very little tapering on the sides of the cut. Of course, it's a new nozzle and new electrodes, so I just changed that before I cut the other pieces, so it doesn't have much cut time on it. As the nozzle gets more cut time on it, the hole in the nozzle gets larger, just from erosion from the arc, from the plasma. So it gets less accurate. The plasma flame is not as confined, so it's not as sharp a point in a way of thinking about it. So it doesn't cut as accurately, and eventually it gets so badly worn it won't work anymore. So I'm going to go over to the table and clean the back of this off, and we'll fit it up. All right, so I'm just clamping that plate on there so it'll support this front bumper without me having to fiddle with it. All right, so this is one of the first weight I've cut out for the front of the 128, the bush hog tractor. All right, let's go see how it fits. All right, here's the first weight. I mean, that fits perfect. It doesn't hang down below here. It's even with that. Each one of these weights each one of these plates weighs about 24 pounds. All right, so let me cut. I think I can get 10 or 12 of them in there. So let me cut some more. My target weight. think I've got room for 2 more. So that's 9. All right, 10, 11, that'll be good. That'll be 275 pounds. All right, so that's going to wrap up this episode. Got the tail wheel fixed, I think, and a pretty decent counterbalance on the front of the tractor, about 225 pounds. Each of those 3/8 inch plates weighs 24 pounds, so 9 of them, 216 pounds, I think, plus the weight of the bracket, so maybe it is 225. There's room for 2 more plates, maybe 3 if I cut one a little short. So I can get another 50 pounds, 75 pounds on there. So that would push us to, that would get me to 300. When I measured that, I measured it for 12 plates, which would be close to 300 pounds. So I think I'll wind up with 11 and a half, maybe. So, plus the weight of the bracket itself. So I'll be at close to 300 pounds, which is basically what the bush hog weighs. And it's about the same distance in front of the rear axle, which would be the fulcrum, as the bush hog is behind. So it should pretty much cover the weight of the bush hog and provide the same steering capability that the tractor would normally have. So we'll come back next week finishing up the weight bracket. I've got to clean it up, prime and paint the bracket, and prime all of the weights, get it back together, and then we'll take it out and test out the tail wheel and the counterweight and see how it holds up to the weight of the bush hog. So I think it's going to be fine. We'll see. Come back next time and find out. So leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. Thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you are subscribed, check and make sure you're still subscribed, because YouTube is unsubscribing. I mean, they've unsubscribed almost 1,000 people in the past month. I can see in the statistics how there's big dips in the subscriptions. Now, I don't know whether that's real people or bots or what, and Google is not transparent about what that is. I've asked a couple times what's going on, and they can't explain it, or they don't want to explain it, so who knows what's going on. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week.